Whether it's those late nights in the gym or getting up early to work on your shot, NBA players on the grind all have one thing on their minds: a championship. It's the mountaintop, the ultimate prize, the big one, and what every player who's dreamed of going pro hopes to achieve one day. But rings aren't easy, and in the NBA's long history, only 16% of all players have ever lifted the Larry O'Brien Trophy. As a result, some of the greatest hoopers to ever grace an NBA court have fallen short of the ultimate prize. Here are 11 of the greatest NBA players who never won a ring. At 6'9" and 250 pounds, Karl Malone was an absolute unit on the basketball court. Drafted in 1985 by the Utah Jazz, Malone quickly became a franchise star, helping them become one of the most dominant teams of the 90s. However, there was just one problem. One big Michael Jordan-shaped problem. Malone helped the Jazz make it to back-to-back finals appearances in 97 and 98, but lost both times to MJ and the Bulls as they three-peated for the second time that decade. The 14-time All-Star then joined Shaq and Kobe for what would be the duo's last season together in LA, hopefully to finally get that ring. But the 04 season happened to be the year that Detroit decided to unleash one of the fiercest defenses ever witnessed on an NBA court, and the Lakers fell short. As a two-time league MVP, three-time All-Defensive First-Time Player, former Rookie of the Year, and NBA Anniversary Team member, there isn't a whole lot Malone didn't win, except for that ring. Up next is another special talent, Tracy McGrady. T-Mac was a star for both Houston and Orlando during his time in the NBA, making multiple All-Star appearances and taking home the scoring title twice in 03 and 04. His stint with the Rockets was the closest he ever came to winning a ring, teaming up with the Chinese giant Yao Ming to create a formidable offense that made multiple playoff runs. But for all his point-scoring ability, T-Mac was never able to get past the conference semifinals and would forever go down in NBA history as one of those greats who just couldn't win it all. Joining McGrady on this list is Toronto teammate Vince Carter. Air Canada was one of the most exciting young talents to emerge from the late 90s and early 2000s. Dubbed by many to be the next Michael Jordan, Vince certainly looked the part, scoring at will with explosiveness and frequency similar to the Chicago shooting guard. But that's really where the comparisons stop. The 8-time All-Star won almost every individual accolade the league has to offer: Slam Dunk Champion, Teammate of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and the list is endless. But despite playing 20 seasons, Vince couldn't take his team all the way. Ringless or not, fans have a special place in their hearts for Vince Carter, who kind of proves that you can be great without a championship to prove it. Another player who fits this mold is Reggie Miller. Miller was a monster in his prime and arguably MJ's biggest rival during the Bulls' 90s dominance. He is responsible for turning the Indiana Pacers into a serious championship-contending team, and his playoff runs produced some of the most iconic moments of the decade. The Hall of Famer is a 5-time All-Star and part of the prestigious 50-40-90 club for his excellence in shooting, but he never won a ring. Like so many of the people on this list, Miller's pro career came at a time of unparalleled Michael Jordan dominance. Drafted in '87, Miller was forced to face off against MJ's Bulls throughout the 90s, scoring some upsets but ultimately falling short of the big prize. The closest he came to winning it all was in 2000 when he took Indiana to the NBA Finals but lost to Kobe and Shaq in 6. But if Reggie Miller not winning a chip is sad, this next player's lack of finals success is a downright tragedy. Steve Nash was that guy in the 2000s. An 8-time All-Star, 5-time NBA assist leader, 2-time league MVP, and member of the 50-40-90 club on 4 separate occasions, Steve Nash has one of the deepest NBA resumes out there. But no ring. Nash and the Suns were heavy favorites in a number of seasons but always seemed to fall short. Nash hoped to win a ring as part of a failed super team in LA towards the end of his career, but they didn't even get past the first round, meaning Steve Nash never got that cherry on top. A player who Nash saw frequent comparison with was John Stockton. Alongside Karl Malone, Stockton and the Utah Jazz were a feared force in the West that made multiple deep playoff runs. Their back-to-back finals appearances in '97 and '98 were the closest they ever got, but like we said, Michael Jordan stood in their way. As a 10-time All-Star, 9-time assist leader, and 2-time steals leader, there isn't a whole lot Stock didn't win. And despite a ringless career, John Stockton still goes down as one of the greatest players to ever do it. And keep in mind, it wasn't just the Jazz that suffered as a result of MJ's dominance. Patrick Ewing is one of the most accomplished NBA players of all time. He's a 10-time All-Star, multiple All-NBA team player, former Rookie of the Year winner, and Hall of Famer, but he never won a ring. Playing in New York for most of his career, Ewing dominated the league as one of the meanest centers around. But his prime coincided with that of Michael Jordan, and, well, we all know how that goes. The closest he came to winning was in '94, conveniently the season Michael Jordan was out playing baseball. But the Knicks just couldn't beat the Rockets, who took home the championship that season. When we think of NBA greats who never won a ring, one player easily springs to mind: Allen Iverson. The answer had an answer for everything on the court. He was one of the most prolific scorers the game ever saw, going toe-to-toe with MJ, battling it out with Kobe, and turning a lackluster Philly team into a serious threat. He was league MVP in '01, made 11 All-Star appearances, multiple All-NBA teams, won Rookie of the Year, and was a scoring champion 4 times. But unfortunately for Iverson, basketball is a team sport, and no matter how good the answer was, other teams were just better. The closest he ever came to winning a ring was during his MVP season in 2001, where Iverson met the Lakers in the finals. The Shaq-Kobe duo was too much for Iverson to take on alone, and to this day, AI is still one of the greatest players not to win an NBA championship. But what about active NBA players? The 2010s were one of the most competitive decades of NBA basketball we've ever seen. But this hasn't stopped some truly great players from missing out. One of these players is Chris Paul. Going into his 18th year in the league, CP3 is a certified GOAT, a 12-time All-Star, former Rookie of the Year, 5-time assist leader, and 6-time steals leader. Chris Paul makes an impact everywhere he goes. Despite his size, he has no real on-court weakness, except maybe for finals success. Paul has played for the Hornets, Clippers, Rockets, Thunder, and Suns, and struggled to make an NBA Finals appearance for every single team. His first ever Finals game was in 2021 with the Suns, where Phoenix eventually lost to Giannis and the Bucks. With the clock running out, fans are uncertain if CP3 will ever lift the trophy and cap off an amazing career. In 2023, he signed for the Golden State Warriors, a team with championship pedigree, leaving a lot of fans hopeful that this could finally be his year. And Paul isn't alone. James Harden is another NBA player still fighting to get his first ring. The former MVP, 10-time All-Star, 3-time scoring champion, and 2-time assist leader is undeniably one of the greatest players to ever lace up for the NBA. His 14 years in the league have seen the Beard break numerous scoring records and put fear in NBA defenses from Toronto to Miami. But for all his offensive mastery, Harden has struggled when it comes to playoff basketball. Criticized for not being a leader and lacking a clutch mentality, Harden has fallen short of the chip every year. Part of this is because he spent the majority of his career in the West, where a certain Golden State dominated for most of the 2010s. But at just 34 years old, Harden still has some gas left in the tank. We hope his recent trouble in Philly passes and the Beard can get back to doing what he does best: breaking records and scoring points. Up next is another NBA legend, the round mound of rebounds, Charles Barkley. He's an 11-time All-Star, former rebounding leader, anniversary team player, league MVP, and Hall of Famer. But he has no ring. His MVP season of 1993 was the closest Barkley ever got to winning the big one. But like we've mentioned before, he came up against a shooting guard in Chicago that just wasn't gonna lose. With a career average of 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists per game, Barkley is one of the greatest ever to miss out on a championship title. Since retiring, he's made a name for himself as a fan favorite on TNT's Inside the NBA, alongside Shaq, Ernie, and Kenny. But you gotta wonder, does he still think about that ring he never won? What so many of these players prove is that winning a ring isn't what makes you great. Sure, it's a nice accent, the cherry on top, if you will, but there are many paths to greatness, and sometimes missing out is just part of the game.